Good morning. Today's introduction comes from Adam Nagurney, the Los Angeles bureau chief. Want to get California Today by email? Here's the sign up. One of the trickiest things to write about if you are a reporter covering Los Angeles for a New York-based newspaper, as I have been for close to 8 years, is the subject of Los Angeles itself. I was reminded of that this week when I, along with a colleague, Tim Arango, wrote a piece about the turmoil at the Los Angeles Times and explored what it said about the lack of civic institutions in Los Angeles. The angle was new, but it's not a particularly new observation or thought. The Los Angeles Times addressed many of the same questions in 2006 and again in 2015. When an organization was founded by longtime civic figures here to respond to what they saw as a civic vacuum. I am also well aware of the, in truth, well-founded, in my view, wariness Los Angeles readers have of East Coast media coming in and offering look-down-your-nose judgments on life here. Botox. Daycare for dogs. Traffic. It is a trope that I and my colleagues in the bureau here have tried at all costs to avoid. Part of the challenge and allure of covering a place like Los Angeles is people have very strong opinions of, and loyalty to, the place where they live. I expected the story would ignite a hearty and thoughtful debate, though I wasn't quite prepared for how my Twitter feed blew up the night it posted. And the next morning. And the next afternoon. The story is based on interviews with prominent Los Angeles figures, including a former mayor and 2 people who headed commissions that tried to deal with governance in the city. And on a personal note, I not only love living here, I think this is one of the most, if not the most interesting municipalities to cover in the nation, if not the world. So in that spirit, here are some of the responses we got, on social media and in emails to our newsletter, California Today. They have been edited for clarity and brevity. The entire premise making the newspaper some sort of parable or metaphor for the city as a whole is misguided. First of all, LA is not an Eastern establishment city. The LA of today, the metropolis that it is a modern, i.e. 20th century, city. Here it doesn't matter what your family name is, who you are, where you came from. LA was built by people coming here with a dream and trying to make a go at it. It's a spirited Western town that has grown, and matured, into a liberal, educated, cultural urban center. The writers of this article are stuck in an old NYC image of LA as a cultural void, spread out, no core, no heart, etc. Vahascott Los Angeles. Imagine if the Upper West Side had a different mayor and didn't contribute to N.Y.C's tax code? That's what we have here. This is not a united city, because it is separate fiefdoms. I've always found it absurd. To really unite this city, you'd have to have these rogue neighborhoods return to the city of L.A. Tim, Los Angeles L.A. is a city of the future and its media is future-based. A daily paper thrown on your driveway is a thing of the past. We have KCRW, we have blogs, we have people interested in reporting and in knowing. Hopefully someone will take up the LA Times mantle and make it into the multimedia platform it should be that covers our state in a contemporary way. David Law, Los Angeles. What a bizarre article, condescending to and denigrating an entire city as well as the LA Times. A city that never quite came together? A lack of civic institutions? No philanthropy? Yes, LA has problems. Every city does. But we have the LA Philharmonic, LACMA, MoCA, and the Getty, and a government that tries to deal with the problems all cities face. MEG, Los Angeles me city needs cohesion and honesty. It needs accountability. We have real problems. The first to come to mind is homelessness. It has literally exploded before our eyes. I would love to feel like journalists are investigating and highlighting issues and holding a light to dark and thorny issues, forcing us all to see and know what is going on in this vast city and how our government is dealing with this. Jennifer Tucker, please note, we regularly highlight articles on news sites that have limited access for non-subscribers. Thousands of people with marijuana convictions in San Francisco and San Diego will have their records cleared. The state is at the forefront of efforts to aid people convicted of drug offenses that would not get them in trouble today. The New York Times, as California faces a historic housing crisis, a proposed ballot initiative would repeal a law that limits rent control to certain types of housing. The Sacramento Bee last fall's wildfires were the most expensive in state history, with insurance claims totaling $11.8 billion. The Associated Press, a study from UC Davis shows that fertilizer in farm soil is a major contributor to the state's smog problem. Provocative findings given the university's relationship with agriculture. The Fresno Bee, he's the biggest farmer in the world, an 81-year-old billionaire and self-described carpetbagger from Beverly Hills who spurred California's nut rush. Who is Stuart Resnick? California Sunday magazine Uber is testing bike sharing in San Francisco. The New York Times, a toxics education group wants coffee in California to come with a cancer warning. CNN El Centro. Fresno. Richmond. Some California communities are stuck with reputations for blight and bad vibes that they just can't shake. The decline of local news may exacerbate the problem. The Los Angeles Times, when President Trump spoke during his State of the Union address about tightening immigration laws to keep out members of MS-13, the violent transnational street gang, many Angelenos working with former gang members raised their eyebrows at one omission. MS-13 was formed in central Los Angeles, not Central America as the president suggested. Jorge Leap, a University of California Los Angeles anthropologist, lamented the common misconception that MS-13 was brought to the United States from El Salvador. The group was in fact able to thrive in the 1980s amid the intense poverty in Los Angeles. MS-13, she said, took advantage of a social situation in which young people had experienced abuse, trauma, or social isolation in the United States, not abroad. MS-13's brand of violence then spread back to Central America, exported by immigrants in the United States who were deported. Its leadership, such as it is based in El Salvador and most of its members are there. Any gang is opportunistic. They go where the population is vulnerable, Dr. Leap said, pointing out MS-13 has particularly terrorized the immigrant community. They stick to the communities where they can intimidate, where they can abuse and blindside people. She said the gang has lost power in Los Angeles in recent years, part of a collaboration between City Hall and law enforcement and activists, who have stressed rehabilitation for gang members seeking an exit ramp from lives of crime. She pointed to such collaborations as the path to reducing gang violence. California Today goes live at 6 a.m. Pacific Time weekdays. Tell us what you want to see. Today at NewYorkTimes.com. California Today is edited by Julie Bloom, who grew up in Los Angeles and graduated from UC Berkeley.